let's jump from one Scott to another, because you did mention his name, and I've always been very curious to ask you about him. So from Scott Hall to Scott Steiner, he's been in news because we have the Wrestling Hall of Fame, but it's the WWE Hall of Fame, as we know. And Scott has been mentioned because he's had his issues with WWE, which we won't get into. But he's been put forward as a candidate because, his nephew, Braun Breaker, has been doing really well. And so Rick and Scott going into Hall of Fame finally, I think very deserving candidates. What do you think of Scott as a Wrestling Hall of Famer? And what's your take of Scott? What's your relationship with him like?
Oh, me and Scott are super, super friends. We always have been. Even we know the ride we had. We know the communication we had, and all the great skits we gave the world, and
the best,
and just the greatest stuff in the world. We would come up with. I mean, we'd show up to the building and just think, okay, what can we do so backwards that it's not even funny, And like showing up in St. Louis that night, and it was the day, it happened to be just pure luck, but it was the day after McGuire had set the home run record, broken the home run record. And where are we at? St. Louis, at the Kemper Arena in St. Louis. And what do? I come dressed up like Mark McGuire, and we burn his jersey in front of 50,000 fans.
How did you get out of that arena?
Well, that's what Bischoff said. He goes, guys, I'm not sure this is going to be safe for y'all. And we was like, we don't care, So we sent the people out to get the McGuire jersey, and Bischoff did it for us, and the McGuire wig, and we came up with me taking steroids during the interview, and him saying, and Scott going, what did you just take? And I went, steroids. And I don't know, for some reason I decided to talk country. I don't even know if McGuire talks country or not. I don't know.
I don't think so, but it's so funny.
I did it. I did it that way, and it came across funny. So
did Mark ever reach out to you to say anything about that?
No, never. But I was shocked a little bit that he didn't.
Yeah.
But he never did, and I'm glad he didn't, because I was actually a fan of McGuire's. But
yeah, we all were. It was amazing.
But at the same time, and I think he got gypped off. I think him and Bonds both. Yeah. I mean, you cannot take a steroid and it make your eye-hand coordination better.
Thank you. That was one of the topics I was going to raise with you in the future. But popping a pill doesn't make you the greatest hitter all of a sudden. You got to put the work in, right? In the gym and in the batting cage. Right.
I mean, I don't care the weight, whatever. It doesn't matter. You still have to have the eye-hand coordination to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
And I'm in no means endorsing steroid use whatsoever, but I'm saying Barry Bonds, he put the time in the gym. He put the time in the batting cage. He put more time than anybody else.
Yes.
May have put stuff in his body as well, but it's not like he didn't work hard.
What?
He worked harder than everybody else, period.
Absolutely. Like I said, the simple fact is, it's like they're trying to say steroids can help your eye-hand coordination. That's not true.
That's a magic
fairy
dust.
They're not magic. I mean, you think because I took steroids, I was going to look the way that Buck Bagwell looked? People have got no idea what I looked like and why I look like it. It's because I busted my butt, dude. I was on a Stairmaster every single morning of my life, and nobody, dare wants to give that kind of credit, or that kind of, even the wrestlers themselves were all saying, "Oh, you're taking growth, you're taking this, you're taking that." I was like, dude, how do you don't know what I do, bro? For starters, you don't know what I do because you have never tried it. And I'd hear stuff, bro, like, how many crunches do you do? And when I would tell them the answer, and you ready for the answer? None. Zero, bro.
Zero
Because
crunching.
believe it or not,
Yes.
what was on my stomach was a 10-pack.
Mhm.
You had the same exact thing, as just under fat, that people didn't have the fortitude and the gusto to get on a Stairmaster every single morning of their life. And I'm not talking about with their hands on the rails and laying on it.
And just kind of.
I'm talking about this kind of Stairmaster,
Right.
up and down, hands pumping every single morning of your life. Every meal, not, us going 5 days without a carbohydrate. And then you carb loading on one day before, and was shot for Monday. Bro, there was a many a times I woke up on Tuesday morning and it just missed it, to where Tuesday morning I looked so freaky and it just had just missed it. And there was times that I had woke up Monday morning and went, oh boy, it's going to be a good night on Nitro.
I love that feeling. Morning abs are the best.
Oh, absolutely, bro. So, and plus that, you got to realize the morning cardio was my secret to my success, because that's called empty stomach fasting. Or no, excuse me, it's
intermittent fasting.
It's called fasting cardio.
And okay.
So basically, I'm climbing on the Stairmaster, and my very first step is burning calories and getting to my abs and getting me lean. My very first step is doing that, where everybody else that waits till the daytime or the night to do the cardio, you're having to burn through all the foods you've had all day long to get to that area that it counted, which all the true bodybuilders say is 20 minutes. So anybody out there, which we'll talk about later in the next cardio, in some of the next podcasts, but it truthfully is at least 20 minutes for you to burn through the calories to get to burning the fat, because there's such a fine line of cardio to where you're burning fat, but you're not burning muscle. When you see those people in there that are just running wide open and they're just soaking wet, see, those people are burning muscle, but they're still losing weight. So but
they're losing muscle weight.
That's right. So they get on the scales, and they see a drop in poundage, and they think, all right, I'm doing the right thing. But really, let Buff Bagwell tell you, they're doing exactly the wrong thing. And that's because you can't, it took a long time to put that fat on. You can't just get it off all of a sudden, or you're going to be burning muscle. So you got to have it's really about 120 to 150 heartbeats per minute is what the basics for every guy is, pretty much. And there's the catch. If you're at 119, you're wasting your time. And if you're at 151, you're burning muscle. You've got to be in the area of 120 to 150, or you're wasting your time. And there's people A that don't believe that. And there's people B that ain't going to do that. And there's people C that just overall just don't even know. I mean, my idea of doing a video for muscle and bodybuilding, if there wasn't 100 videos out already, I was going to do where I walked into the gym and just would walk up. I'd get the gym's permission, which would have been easy than Lex's gym, and just walk up on a person that was on a Stairmaster or something and say, excuse me, I mean, live camera rolling, and say, what is your heart rate supposed to be? If you were on a Stairmaster and I walked up and said that, you'd have to say, I don't know. And
looking at it, right?
They're going to say, I truly don't know.
Right.
And guess who knows? Me. I do know. And I have known. And that's why I'm Buff Bagwell, because I knew those things and was able to use those things to look the way I looked on television. And Scotty knows those things. And that's why Scotty looked the way he looked.
And this is going to be a great sneak preview, because like you were saying, we talked off air about this, that on a future episode, probably our next one, I'm going to devote an episode of the Chosen Life podcast simply to know, how do you get the Buff Bagwell body? What do you have to do for diet? What do you have to do for exercise?
Yeah.
You're mentioning Scotty. Have you ever watched the Scotty exercise video up on YouTube?
No.
Okay. When you have some time, you have to watch the Scott Steiner workout. He pulls up shirtless on a motorcycle with a girl behind him. And then he goes into the gym and he's starting to bench girls and all this. They're kissing his arm while he's doing it. It is the funniest thing you've ever seen. And then afterwards, he goes into a real workout. He actually shows you the Scott Steiner workout, but he has like the girls humming and humming over him, like exactly the way you guys had it back when you guys were together, and you would love it. I'm surprised you never saw it. You got to see this thing. It's freaking hilarious.
I definitely will check that out. But yeah, back to Scotty.
Yes.
I've always been a huge, who possibly could be in or out of wrestling and not love the Steiner Brothers. So I've always been amazed that the Steiner Brothers were not in the Hall of Fame.
So you'd put them in the Hall of Fame, no questions asked.
I mean, not even a question asked.
Okay, but you'd put the Steiner Brothers in. Would you put in Big Poppa Pump?
Absolutely. I mean, bro, he was. I mean, think about it. It's like when we cut an interview in Cincinnati one time, right? And nobody knew it, but we truly had true heat. We had really fallen out for a little bit.
Yes.
And it became over. Got the boys talking about our bodies. They'd be like, hey, Bagwell's catching you, bro. Bagwell's got you. Bagwell looks a little cleaner than you. Scotty didn't understand that. He couldn't deal with it.
And he didn't like it.
He didn't like it. But
so the character we saw on TV, that was the real Scott Steiner. Like Big Poppa Pump, that was him. He wasn't playing a character. That was him.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh, boy.
And then I cut the interview on Scotty, and I come out with a one-liner that it just I think I've just knocked a home run. Yes. And he came back over top of me and just killed me. He said, I said, check the crowd out and look at the Buff Daddy signs. I said, ever since Buff Daddy's got back into shape, it seems like Scotty's just a little bit jealous. And he looks at me and he goes, no matter how good you look, you will always be second best. And it was just such a great line, because it's the truth. I was never going to be 260, 270 and look like I looked. I was going to be a 230, 240 and look the way I looked.
He was always about freaks and peaks. That's what the man was about.
He was, and he did it. And like for example, if I turned, I wasn't 3D. Scotty was 3D, bro.
Seriously.
He was, he turned sideways and he got bigger. I turned sideways and I disappeared. But coming out straight forward, walking with Scott Steiner, I can hang with him. But I couldn't hang with him when we'd get in the ring and like turn, because I just wasn't 3D like he was, man. He was 3D.
You guys were a great combination from all. I know you've been a world champion, tag team champion, many occasions with different partners. You only got to do that 5 times. When I look back on it, your partnership with Scott Steiner, I loved you guys together. I think you guys had great chemistry. You worked off of each other. Look, you were showcasing him. He came in. You pumped each other up. It was a great combo. When you look back on it, if you could have written that thing out, I think it fizzled out. In my opinion, I think it fizzled out too quickly. I think they could have done a lot more with that. I think you guys were perfect together.
Well, actually, I told you it's because of Scotty. Then again, you know what? I take it back. It was about right, to be honest with you, because if you think about it, we went from me and Scotty, me managing Scotty, to he wrestled Goldberg one night. And only because I know WCW and I've been wrestling for him my whole career, I just knew what they were going to do. And what had happened is Goldberg, during a spot with him and Scotty, he jumped through the ropes at me, and Goldberg was like a cat, and he went to grab me as I went to run, and he grabbed my jeans, and I thought I had ripped my hamstring, but it was a cramp because I was so water depleted that I wasn't ready. I really shouldn't have been wrestling yet because I wasn't released and I wasn't wrestling. I was in blue jeans, just managing, but I was so water depleted that it just, it was dangerous for me to wrestle or to lift weights and stuff, even because I had, I could have easily tore a muscle or ripped a pec or anything, So because I knew that match went so good, and the finish of that match was I had to cut the turnbuckles, wires, and slide the pad. And if you ever watch that match back, I have to do one leg at a time up the steps because I can't walk normal up the steps because my cramp was going on. I thought it was torn.
You thought it was torn, and you're still going. You thought it was torn, and you were still going.
I'm still going. I had to do it. It was part of the finish, live TV.
Right.
But I do the clip, and literally as soon as I slide the pad, Goldberg's hitting the turnbuckle. And I can't remember if Scotty went over or if Goldberg went over, but I knew as good as it went down, I knew they were going to try to let me wrestle the next week. I knew they were. So, of course, I packed my stuff without anybody telling me to pack my stuff. And I get to the building at the Dean Dome in North Carolina, at the Dean Dome, and Terry Taylor meets me. He says, did you bring your wrestling? He goes, I know you probably didn't, so it's not a big deal. You're not in trouble or anything if you didn't. He goes, but did you bring your workout attire? I mean, your
gear,
gym stuff, your gear.
Yep.
And I said, no, just to mess with him. And he goes, God dang it. I go, well, what's the deal? He goes, well, we're going to put you in the ring tonight with Goldberg and everything. I said, Terry, I've worked here for 8 years. I go, I know WCW. I go, of course I brought my stuff. So I had my best gear, all been repainted, brand new pair of tights. I'm back totally shredded again in 10 months. I'm ready to go. I've carb loaded. Everything's ready. I'm dialed in. And it's me and Scotty against
Goldberg and Rick.
And Goldberg.
Yeah.
And how many guys get paralyzed and lose their first match back? Nobody but me, right? So they have me losing a year-long angle you could have had with me and Rick Steiner. He broke my neck on live television. We've got a year easy long angle. And instead, in one match, it's totally gone. So I tried to shoot for the second best thing, which was let's at least B-roll the injury and the match to show the main event, to show what's coming, and so everybody can see how great it's going to be, and they can advertise for the main event. They were like, well, we don't have it. Here's TBS trying to tell Buff Bagwell that they don't have it. And I said, Craig, and his name's Craig Leathers. I go, Craig, I've got it. I said, I could get my mother to get it sent to us. I said, don't tell me you don't got it. Don't lie to my face. You know, I said, all I'm asking is, so that when Scotty hears this, well, Scotty gets hot about it. So not just on top of me, now you got Scotty getting hot about it. So it's Scotty and me combined now that's mad about it.
So he had your back on this one.
Oh, totally. So he jumps in.
Yeah.
And finally, only because I think he tore the whole locker room down over it.
Yeah.
They finally come and go, okay. And literally the pyro's going off for the opening of our show. And they go, okay, get out there and advertise, you know, y'all's match. So of course, shirt off, me and Scotty's ready to go. You know, shirt off, do-rag, and I'm ready to go, or shirt off, top hat, I'm ready to go. Same with Scotty, you know, shirt off, shades, and he's ready to go. And so we're right there at the go position. And so we opened the show with me and Scotty going to the ring to cut an interview about, you know, what was coming in the main event. And it was perfect. I mean, here I am, you know, my last time in the ring was 10 months ago against the guy that broke my neck. So I'm wrestling the guy that broke my neck plus a guy that wants to break it. I mean, that's perfect, you know? So, you know, and then Scotty had been in kind of an angle with Goldberg anyway. So it just worked out perfect. And we were able to advertise it. And so we were happy about that. But still, it still kills me because we just had such a great chance of an opportunity to show the world the angle of me and Rick, and just have that angle, or that, you know, one pay-per-view run at least of me getting my comeback against the guy that broke my neck. And instead, they wanted me to take the bulldog, the move that broke my neck, a move I've never done since. I've never done it since. And they wanted me to take the bulldog from Rick Steiner again. After breaking my neck, being paralyzed, and slipping out of the threshold of being paralyzed the rest of my life, and God giving me my life back. And they want me to try that, they want me to do that again. And I said, guys, let me tell you something. I said, not only am I not going to do it tonight, I'm never going to do that again the rest of my life, ever in my life. So I talk them into facing Rick, and him coming off with the bulldog. And he used to always come off with his feet out to the right and with his left arm, and would bulldog you. Well, I guess he got confused or something with me facing him. So he comes off with his right arm, and we just collide like two idiots in the middle of the ring. But he still pins me 1, 2, 3.
Must have been very scary for you to watch Big E and what happened to him, you know, just now, and breaking his neck. And it's no matter how safe you practice, you know, it's, people say is wrestling fake. It's real. They are in the ring. They are doing this, and things can happen anytime you're trying any risk maneuvers, right? And
Absolutely.
Big E learned it the hard way.
The bulldog is Rick Steiner coming off behind your back. You're not even looking at him. So there's 280 flying through the air, coming at you, and you can't see him coming. And I'd taken that move 1,000 times. Well, this time he happens to miss me. Right. And when he misses me, there's live cameras everywhere, and I don't want to look stupid. So I, of course, adjust and try to catch up to him. And when I do, I come into him and hit my face, and it paralyzes me.
Think about the pile driver and how many people got paralyzed from the pile driver. that it should be a very safe move if you do it properly, if you do it with the knees. If you don't,
Yes.
you fall on your head. Bad things happen when you fall on your head.
Yes.
It's common sense.
Exactly. So, that's just back to that old, wrestling's fake thing. It just, people have got no idea what we really go through and what's really on the table and what really is on the, on the playing field,
Amen. And that's where when I look at your career, I look at Scott Steiner's career, I think you guys are parallel in many ways because I think he got a raw deal as well. I think that the industry, he put a lot into it. He worked his butt off, and I don't think he gets the love that he deserves. He was a great worker. He was a great showman. He should be considered one of the greatest of all time, and I think that he gets a raw deal simply because he stood up for himself and he spoke his mind, and people didn't always like it. You stood up for yourself. You spoke your mind at times, and people didn't always like that.
People didn't like it. So many people, like, for example, on the live podcast I did over the weekend in Ohio, I was like, look, I said, if you don't want me, I said, if you really want to know how you look, don't ask me. I said, because I'm going to tell you. I said, for example, if you got a booger in your nose, do you want to know? I know I do.
Want to. I would.
I look at the lady in the front row and I said, look, if you see a booger in my nose, let me know.
Yeah.
Literally, because I just don't want to be walking around with a booger in my nose and people not tell me. So some people, though, don't take that well. Some people don't like that. So that's where here I come in the picture, Mr. Tell It Like It Is. And some people don't like that.
People want to hear what they want to hear. But the truth is, when you tell them the truth, you're helping them ultimately. It just sometimes people don't want to hear reality and they want to live in fantasy land, I guess. And it's a shame. Summary up with Scott, ultimately, when you think of Big Poppa Pump, what do you think his legacy will be when all is said and done? Where do you think people will see him?
To be honest with you, I can't answer that good because I don't know a lot of the stuff that Scotty's done as far as the things I hear.
But never mind the stuff that he hears. I mean, from the guy that was in the ring, the performer, the showman.
Yeah, he just, as far as that goes, my God, that's just going to be a great legacy. But he's done so much, the Hogan stuff I hear about. And all that, I don't know nothing about all that. And I don't care. I love Scott Steiner. I mean, I just love Scott Steiner. I love everything he stands for. Matter of fact, back in the day, he had all the heat one week. I had all the heat the next week. And then he had it the next. And then I had it the next. It was never back to somebody else. It was always between me and Scott. And who looked the best? Me and Scotty. So you tell me that's an accident? You tell me that me and Scotty on a drug list of tapings that had to get drug tested, we happen to be on it every week when it's a random drug test? Come on, bro.
I don't think it's coincidence.
Me and Steiner were on it every week. And they're trying to tell us to our faces that it's a random drug test. It's like picked. The computer picks it.
I don't think it works that way. No.
Look, y'all said, first of all, do you really think that I believe you? Don't try to tell me, don't lie to my face. Yeah. Try to get me to think I'm dumb enough to believe it. Well, Scotty's the same way, except he was just more vocal about it with bigger names like Flairs and Hogan's and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, I can't speak on it because I don't really know the things that I hear he said. I know that he did a lot of stuff and said a lot of stuff, but I really don't know about it. I didn't hear it. I never heard it. Yeah. I just know from boys that I trust that I remember he said a lot that was supposedly too much, But I don't know that, and I don't care. I think Scott Steiner is great, and I think he's phenomenal. So, I've always been a fan of that. So you put me and Scotty together. Oh my God, Dude, we were hilarious.
You guys were amazing.
And we'd come back to the back, and Eric would literally be leaning over on his knees, like going, "Oh my God, what am I going to do about this? You know what, y'all, my phone's going to be ringing all day tomorrow."
I figured he'd be patting you on the back. No, he was nervous.
Well,
Eh?
he was.
Yeah.
But he also was saying, he goes, "Don't get me wrong." He goes, "It was unbelievable." He said, "But the problem is, I'm going to have to answer for it tomorrow all day long." He said, it's going to be brutal. So long story short is, that's going to be part of it,
I would tell the fans out there, ignore what people say. People said they did. You love Big Poppa Pump. Go watch the Scott Steiner workout on YouTube. Go put in Buff Bagwell, Scott Steiner, Big Poppa Pump into the feed.
Yeah.
Watch some of your tag matches. Watch some of your vignettes. It was classic
Not
wrestling.
only that, brother, I want you to look and try your hardest to find one slip up, one stumble,
Never
one missed tag, one just simple little bitty mess up. And let me tell you something, brother, you're not gonna find it because we didn't mess up. Even the match that I got ripped apart with Booker T, look at it right now and find one mess up, find one miss kick.
It wasn't a bad match. Punch. It was the crowd. It was the crowd.
Find
it was
one punch that I throw that don't look like it's taking his head off. I mean, you just can't. So yeah, was it not a WWF type wide open match? Maybe not. But we wasn't talked to. And actually, I told you the story last time.
Yeah, right.
The WWF took the blame for it.
But it was
they
still
said Pat Patterson when because me and Booker literally started kind of arguing. And me and Booker have wrestled each other 1,000 times. So when that started is when Pat Patterson spoke up and said, wait a minute, stop. He goes, it's really our fault. He said, I do the main event. Pat Patterson does all the WWF main events, WWE main events. So he thought that Johnny Ace was doing me and Booker's main event and talking to us about what they wanted.
Right.
And Johnny Ace thought Pat Patterson was doing it. So it really was their fault, but we had Stone Cold come to us and tell us what we were doing. Mm-hmm. So guess what we did? What Stone Cold told us to do, because Stone Cold said so.
Right. But Buff, when you think about it, there were two guys in that ring, and Booker ended up doing pretty well for himself. He had a good run there. You should have been no different, man. They should have had that same opportunity. We all know this.
No different.
Thank you for enjoying today's episode of the Chosen Life podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscription button below and the notification bell to catch all of our great shows. And remember to contact the Chosen Lawyers when you are ready for your next real estate and commercial transaction. Go to kormans.ca.